I was gonna say, it's one of those things where it says, who are you gonna call? And I said, Ghostbusters.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the meeting of the Museum Advisory Committee of September 24th at 6:30. Roll call, everyone is present except Ala is absent. We have a recommendation to approve the agenda of September 24th. Someone to approve the agenda? Dave? Second by Marty. All in favor? Carried. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. We'll move down to approval of the minutes. The recommendation that the minutes of the July 23rd, 2024 meeting be approved as written.
I'll move that.
Okay, someone a second? Melanie? All in favor? Carried. Reports. Curator's report.
All right, just take you through a couple highlights. Our exhibits, our architect exhibit is coming to a close next week. So if you haven't been out to see it, then now's your last chance for it. We will be getting in our new traveling exhibit called Broken Promises. It's scheduled to come next week and it will be open for Thanksgiving weekend. We're having our opening night on October 10th at 6:30. You're all welcome to come. So it's the Thursday before the Thanksgiving weekend. This exhibit it's going to be a large one. It's going to be a heavy topic. It is about Japanese displacement during World War II and the effects afterwards. And I do want to make a little note here, and you'll see it in the report. The exhibit was made possible to be coming to us thanks to the Strathroy-Middlesex Museum Foundation. Other than that, I did add a new section into my curator's report this time around. It's the special projects section. So that's just to keep you guys up to date on those things that we're doing that don't necessarily fit into any of the other categories. So we have two right now. The Middlesex Heritage Trail, which are those historic signs around both Strathroy, Mount Bridges. We've got one in Melbourne and we've got three in what we call Strathroy-Caradoc. So those signs are all getting a refresh. They are the Mount Bridges ones, the Strathroy-Caradoc and the Melbourne are all done, being printed and being built. They'll be in this fall. The Strathroy ones, we're working with the BIA because we're hoping to have some actually installed right on the businesses, just where the positions are. In the boulevard, either the signs that were there are no longer there for various construction reasons. So we're just working on a bit of those before they're ready to go. The other project you guys heard so much about, the Poppy project, we will be giving a report to council at the October 7th meeting, just so you guys are aware, but I'll give you a little bit of updates right now. We've received over 9,700 poppies, which we originally asked for 3,000, so that's an incredible turnout from this community, and I came in this morning to another little bag of poppies sitting on my desk. So they're still rolling in, even though we have said, please, you can stop making them. But because we have such this wonderful, overwhelming amount, we've been working on how to expand the project, and we have figured out how to expand it both in Mount Bridges and Strathroy, so it's just going to be a larger installation. We will keep poppies aside because hopefully we'll be able to do this project for a couple of years to come. That does, of course, hinge on the permission from Dominion Command, because we do have to ask permission every year to use the poppy, but we'll have extra poppies in case we need to replace any, and in case Melbourne, they've decided to kind of do their own thing. We did reach out to them last October. It sounds like they are now going forward with their own project, but I told them they can reach out for support, whatever we can do to help them. So coming up with that, the attachment days, so we need help attaching all these thousands of poppies. So that is October 17th, 18th, and 19th. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Anybody can come out, drop in, as long as you can tie a knot, you can help. So that is open for anybody. And then coming out soon will be the official events list for the 11 Days of Remembrance, which is going to be from the 1st of November to the 11th, when the installation is going to be up. There will be an event every single day. So it'll be a busy 2 weeks, but we're really looking forward to it, and we've got some really interesting things lined up. So that official schedule will be coming out, and some events will be free or very low cost. All events you'll have to register for, even if it is fee, just so we know the numbers. But yeah, so I'll send you guys that information as it comes out, and then again, like I said, we'll be at council in a couple weeks. Then the other thing I want to mention in here, it's not in this report because it happened this month, but our volunteers, we do have a new co-op student from the high school, from this DCI, and yeah, Killian, he was a volunteer with us a couple of years ago, and he pops in a lot. He's wonderful. I'm very excited to have him, and he's already hit the ground running with some projects. So he just started last Wednesday.
Michelle?
Yeah.
Going back, the heritage signs that you guys are redoing, are you redoing the frames and everything too?
Yes.
I was part of when they originally started those in some of the other communities that the CHF, or CF, whatever it was, CDF, when they put them in, they failed to put a little vent in the side of the box.
So they're not going to be encased in a box. They're going in the same way. You know, like the sign that's right outside town hall that's like points to the entrance?
Yeah.
It's going to be that same stuff.
Okay, because I was going to say, if you use those same frames, you got to put a vent, because the other ones,
They fog up.
they didn't just fog up. The material went in about 6 months after sun and heat, so, okay.
Yeah, so they're like being completely redone. We have new wood. The signs are also following the municipality's signage policy, so they will be blue box with the municipality logo and then the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc. We did talk to the county, because that was who originally started this project, just to make sure that that was okay. We could change that, but because we're following the same layout, we're just changing the color. They said that that was all good.
And you can always do what Godrich did with their extra poppies. They just decorated a fire truck. We'll steal the little old fire truck and just, never mind.
I do want to say, just on that note, because we have gotten explicit permission to do it both
Certain way, yeah, I know.
and Elmont Bridges, because we've had, we have so many, and we have people be like, oh, why don't you do this, or why don't you do that? Those are all options, but we still have to get permission. So I just want to make that clear to anyone out there that's thinking about doing it themselves. Obviously, the Legion's wonderful to work with, and they're very open and very accommodating, but you do still have to follow those proper channels because the poppy is copyrighted. Any more questions, and then I'll go to programs? Okay. So programs and events, I just want to I'll highlight our camps in a second, but I just want to say we were invited to the Heritage Fair at Museum of Archaeology in London on August 17th. It was a wonderful event, even though it was downpouring rain, we ended up having to move inside, but specifically at our booth, we had 136 attendants stop in and see us, talk to us, participate in our activities. There were over 200 people at the event, but that, we got most of them at our booth, which was really wonderful to see, and it was all around such a great day. So I just wanted to highlight and thank Museum of Archaeology in London for having us. So the other one that was a huge success this summer was our camps. So we had 4 weeks of camps, which was the same amount of weeks last year, but we had the different themes this year as well. So we were also able to increase our participants over the 4 weeks. We had 242 participants. Last year we had 194, so we are increasing. And huge thank you to our museum assistant, Sam, who unfortunately has gone back to school and is not with us anymore, but she did an amazing job. We had such overwhelming positive responses from the campers, from the parents, from anybody that kind of participated in any way, shape, or form. We had wonderful turnout for guest presenters. We had from scientists in the school, we had Golden Griffin out, we had our all-Canadian reptile girl come out again. So overwhelmingly really positive, and we can already see from last year, this year, if we're looking apples to apples, 4 weeks to 4 weeks, we're already seeing that growth about 25%, which is really exciting to see. So hopefully next year we'll have even more growth, maybe another week or two of camp put in there too. So that's very exciting. And then lastly, upcoming events. I do want to make a slight update the Truth and Reconciliation Day. The building is open, so the museum is open, but office hours are closed. Staff will not be there. So I just want to make a clarification on that. And then other than that, there is, you'll see there's already a couple of the events for the 11 Days of Remembrance. That's not all of them. More will be coming out. So that's just the ones we have locked in for sure. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any further questions? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion to receive report CS 2024-41, the curator's report for July and August 2024 for information. Melanie?
Sorry?
I said I'll move it.
Okay, thank you. Seconded by Dave. All in favor? Carried. All right, new business, semi-annual strategic plan review, CS 2024-39. Can I get a motion to receive the report for review? Yeah, okay, seconded. Thank you, Ashley. All in favor? Carried. Over to you.
Really, this is more open to you guys. We can talk about the direction. I have made a couple notes on things that we can kind of check off. A lot of what's in here is always ongoing, so we can talk about what has happened and where we're still going. Has everyone had a chance to review the strategic plan? Did anybody want to kick us off with anything that they wanted to know more about, just so I know specifically before I go through anything?
Okay, so at the appendix A is where we have the action, is that correct? Or, because I see in the report you have, so this is short-term, medium, and long-term. So where do we see what has been completed?
So this isn't like I haven't gone through and checked out, this is the strategic plan. It's not like an updated check kind of thing. So I can go through and we can talk about things that, for example, just under engagement, short term wise, we've done, we continue to aim display curriculum based upon school months. So we can go through those ones and I can tell you which ones are always ongoing or what we've done in that sense.
Okay, that might be a little tedious.
Yeah.
What about, my question then would be, in your opinion, is everything on track, or is there anything that you think is not going to be completed or you're having challenges with?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. So some things that I can say right now, challenge-wise, so anything that has to do with programming, I'd say we're at our max with what we're capable of doing unless we are able to get more resources. Another person, having our museum assistant this summer was wonderful and shows just how much programming we can do, but we are, I'd say, at our limit, if not over our limit with what we're trying to accomplish, and that includes everything from our, we can't always facilitate every single PA day program. We have developed school-based programming, but at this point in time, we're doing it as requested. So if a teacher comes to us and wants to build a program around something, we do our best to put it together right there and then. What I'd love to see and what we did talk about in this would be creating specific content for schools and then go to the schools, bring them the package, bring them, here are our programs. We're not able, I don't see that happening within the next couple of years unless we're able to get in more help. And that's from an operation standpoint, a dedicated person, part-time, full-time, but year-round preferably, that has the specialty to work in a curriculum-based manner. So I will say anything in here that relates to programs, we're doing our best and we're constantly happy to have in more artists or more, not just artists, but more guest speakers. That is much more manageable for us to accommodate. But in terms of the educational program and things like that, we're at our limit.
Just a question on the kind of gearing curriculum kind of based stuff. I'm just wondering how that ties in with the long-term goal of developing the YouTube series. Do you have like videos created that can specifically be used as part of curriculum in local schools, or is that kind of beyond the capacity right now to kind of put things like that together?
Great question. So I can say with the YouTube, we did have a volunteer, and she made that mini DIY YouTube series, and she did 3 videos. They were craft based, and it got great response. We had over 250 views. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I know it was over 250 for those 3 videos. And she put those out in the summer. So if we have somebody that can come in and help us create the content, it does show that we would get the views. And with the poppy tutorials, that we got like 400 views or something like that. So it does show that there are people online to do education specific one. I'm not sure, I'd have to look into that. We can do, this was back in COVID when, of course, everything was shut down. I know Crystal put out, she did like a collections video, so it was the insight into the collection. That I can see us more easily facilitating, and where we pick themes and we do artifact kind of videos. I could definitely see that being an avenue. The education-based ones, that I'm unsure of. I'd have to look into the logistics of that.
Yeah, no, it just occurred to me that it might be nice if we were at the point, speaking on partnerships and things in here, if there was an opportunity to develop like a series of YouTube videos based on Strathroy history. If there's, you know, a high school that's teaching, I don't know, if there's a local history, you know what I mean? Kind of that merging of making those artifacts, that kind of collection available in a short-term kind of basis in the classroom. I don't work at the high school or anything. Maybe there's no place for anything in that. But just kind of seeing that mention of developing the YouTube series just kind of sparked that idea of maybe there's an opportunity there with high schools for engagement, or public school or elementary schools as well.
No, I love that idea, and I'll definitely make a note of that. Some, I know at other places that I've seen, they do what's called like a museum in a box, and those have replica artifacts typically, and those go into schools, and then there's accompanying like videos or packages and stuff, and so even if there's not an education person from the museum that goes in, everything's in the box, and then the school would rent the kit, basically. That is something that I've thought about before, but again, to dedicate the time and resources into creating those, including funds for that, I don't think we're, maybe one, you know, but then you really got to be selective with what the teachers are looking for.
Perfect, thank you.
Is there any other areas, Michelle, that besides programming that you think we're struggling to meet the objectives?
Sorry, I'm just going through my notes. This one's not necessarily a struggle because I think this starts tonight. Anything to do with our volunteer programs, or so under like partnership, for example, like the evaluate and enhance our volunteer program with the review, which is next on the agenda, the review of our volunteer policy. I think that starts this process. So this is not necessarily something we're struggling with, but I think that this is something that even as a committee, we can define what we want this program to look like a little more. So it's not necessarily something that we're struggling with, but I think it's something that we could start tonight and keep that rolling. So in terms of a medium-term goal, I think that we're on track with that. We do get a lot of volunteers. We have a couple that just started as well, so I'd be excited to see where that goes. The other one that I want to say that I guess we kind of, in terms of like the short-term goals, because if this was done in 2022, we're in 2024. So in terms of the short-term goals, one of them, the enhancing interactive components, so that could be under engagement as well as experience. We don't have any more, we don't have touch screens, however, we are getting one. So in terms of the short term, we're going to move it to the medium term. We are getting one for the history of Strathroy-Caradoc display that, if you saw in the report, we're still working on. That was the one that we did the partnership with U of T on. That is still in the works. We're still trying to figure out, unfortunately we had a snafu with the display company that we had originally chosen. We got it all set, and then apparently they don't ship to Canada. So went back to the drawing board on that, and we're still trying to figure out when that works with our system and budget and all that fun stuff. So we will be getting one. We don't plan on getting any for the gallery itself, for like those exhibits that we build. When needed, we do have one tablet that we've used to run on loops for like videos. In an exhibit, our Space to Spoon and the Local Connection, we did have a video, which is actually on our YouTube channel now, of one of our local farmers showing his tractor system. And so that we were able to use the tablet within a display case, so it was locked and secure, and it ran on a loop for the whole day, basically, and I restarted every morning. So we use what we have in the capacity that we have, but I want to say that a bigger, more permanent touchscreen and interactive is coming. So we're just going to move that from the short term to the medium term. And I have that in a couple spots, actually. I think those are the big ones. The ones that I know we'll struggle with in terms of the long term, under experience, the developing a visual art residency program. I think we have to dial that back, and I think the biggest thing with this, like anything visual arts, we're on the right track in terms of bringing more into the community with our coming art shows and our public art shows. Had a lot of great response from people already reaching out, asking questions. So that'll be at our next MAC meeting, where I'll bring the applicants to you guys, and you guys will have a hand in picking who's going to be in our art shows, unless we only have one, in which case they'll be in our show. But I'm hoping we'll have more, and I've already, like I said, had people reach out. So this one, I think we just have to adjust our scope, but I think we are on the right track into that, bringing in more visual artists into our space.
Okay, any other questions for Michelle? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the volunteer policy review. How can we help you with this?
So I attached both our old policy and then just a few changes that I've made, just for like housekeeping purposes. So I just don't know if anybody saw anything else that I missed. The only things that I changed was I got rid of the curator and cultural coordinator. The cultural coordinator position no longer exists in our organization, so I just removed that. Neither does a volunteer coordinator. I am the volunteer coordinator, so museum's down is sufficient. We do ask our volunteers to undergo a vulnerable sector check now, and it's quite straightforward. They just have to fill out the form and give it back to me, and I send it to HR, and they handle that. So it's straightforward. And then 2.3 on the written job description. We don't provide a written job description. We do provide an application with the areas that people can check off that they're interested in, but we do a verbal job description because we tailor every single volunteer position to that volunteer and their interests. So I'm wondering if there's anything else that should be included, that I missed within this, just looking for feedback.
So I just have a comment, because it doesn't have anything here about, was there anything for conflict of interest? I think there was something that said you couldn't apply for a job, but would there be any other instance of a conflict of interest? And the other would be, in other committees, and I don't know, volunteers a little different, but we often say in different committees that you have to abide by the code of conduct for, you know what I'm talking about, Jen?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just called the municipal code of conduct?
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that like that should apply to a volunteer too, in terms of how they present themselves, how they act towards others. I mean, that, we could review that as a committee, but it's about, you know, treating people respectfully, inclusively, and, you know, no one has a right to be shouted at, or, you know, like all of that kind of behavioral stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if maybe, just a thought, whether, what does the rest of the committee think about
That would be
including?
appropriate. It's a
Including that?
representative of the
Municipality, right?
municipality, so.
Yeah. Could you look at adding that piece?
Sure. Thank you.
Anything else? Volunteers? Okay. All right, we have a couple of motions. So the first one is to receive the report for, we can do them all at once. That we receive report CS 2024-43 volunteer policy review for review, and further MAC make recommendations for updating the volunteer policy, and further MAC approve the volunteer policy pending changes. Can I get a motion for that? Marty, second by Dave, all in favor? Great, passed. And so I assume that will come back to us then again for final approval, right? Okay, perfect. All right, open discussion. Does anybody have any items that they want to bring forth? Museum activities, questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I just had, Jen and I, we talked a little bit about changing the wording. This was the comments, questions, concerns. We just thought, because sometimes, you know, our meetings are a little shorter, but maybe there's stuff that I haven't necessarily brought forward that people want to talk about. As an advisory committee, you know, we are looking to help move forward, you know, things like that, if, you know, in the terms of reference. We did look at, obviously, a lot of the things that we want you to participate in, so this is just kind of a gentle nudge to open discussion. This is, we're able to discuss anything museum related, questions. Again, it's questions, comments, or concerns, but just trying to make it a little bit more like open forum type discussion. So if you don't have anything ready today, that's fine. It'll be on here next time.
This will be on every one, right? So we
Yeah.
can always, now that we know what you mean by it.
Anybody have anything? So my discussion then would be, as a committee, is there anything, let's just say before the next meeting, like, we'll do this meeting to meeting, so between now and the next meeting, anything we could do to support you or the museum, or anything that you would like some assistance with?
I'm trying to give you guys the onus here.
Did she want us to tell her, not
But I don't know what she needs.
throw something out that you think we should need, and then she'll tell you if she'll look into it. That's where I'm drawing a
Do you
blank
need
too.
volunteers for the new exhibit?
For the new exhibit,
Because that's what we're coming this month, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll throw this out there. That's a great idea, thank you. We don't necessarily need volunteers to help put the exhibit together. I have lined up our team for that. But if there is anybody interested in types of programming around the exhibit that they're interested in seeing, reach out to us and let's see if we can make that happen. We are talking with a bunch of individuals to make this topic more accessible in different formats to people. So if anybody has any ideas in terms of programming, or they have somebody that is a historian on the subject matter or something adjacent and wants to come out and do a talk, so I'll throw that out there, that we're looking for any type of volunteers in terms of programming. And I guess the other one, just a reminder on the Poppy Project, we need volunteers to help us attach.
You do need volunteers for
We
that,
do need
right?
volunteers. Yeah.
Anything further? Any suggestions, Marty?
Not right now. I can come up with a few by the next one.
Okay, that's how, look forward to that discussion at the next one. Thanks for putting that on there. I think that's a good idea, and if we, give us some time to think about it for the next meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 19th at 6:30. Do we always, just a question, always meet monthly?
No, it's every
2 months.
2 months, that's every
Yeah.
2 months, right, okay, all right. Yes, that makes sense, perfect.
Time is flying, but it's not that.
Fast.
We're every other month, and the courier throws us in there once.
All right, so the next meeting is the 19th at 6:30 PM. Adjournment, can I have a motion that the Museum Advisory Committee meeting of September 24th be adjourned? Dave, Melanie, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.